The autumn sunlight slid through Nina's windows and painted soft gold across the long dining table she had dressed with care. She had set out 24 plates of the vintage china she'd hunted down at flea markets. 24 crystal glasses stood beside them, catching light like tiny prisms. 24 chairs waited. All empty. The silence pressed on Nina's chest until her phone chimed again. Sharp, insistent, impossible to ignore. "Not now," she whispered, but the notifications kept coming. She reached for the phone with a shaky hand. It felt heavy, as if it carried every hope she had for the day. She had woken before dawn, humming while she checked her list. Flowers done, rolls baked, wine opened to breathe. "It's finally my day," she had told herself. Now the screen lit up, bright and cruel. There they were, her family, glowing on social media while her table sat empty. Nina's mother, Helen, stood smiling next to her brother Brian in what looked like a brand new apartment. Her father, Frank, raised a glass behind them. Aunt Ruth leaned into Uncle Mark. Cousin Lily waved from the corner. The caption under Helen's post read, "So proud of our boy's first home purchase. Family is everything." Nina swiped. More photos. More smiles. More champagne. Then a video started. Brian laughed with two cousins. "Nina's always posting her fancy renovation pictures," he joked, grinning at the camera. "But today is my day." The words landed like stones. Nina's fingers trembled. The phone slipped and clattered onto the table. The Cabernet she'd bought because Frank loved it sat unopened. The rolls she'd brushed with butter cooled in their basket, forgotten. Deep breath, Nina told herself, pressing a hand to her mouth to stop the sobs sneaking up her throat. Just hours earlier she had moved around the kitchen with light feet, proud and excited. She'd saved for 7 years to buy this old craftsman and spent 9 months sanding floors, scraping paint, and learning how to replace a light fixture without shocking herself. "You're going overboard again," her best friend Maya had said that morning, smiling as she polished Nina's grandmother's silver. "Maybe," Nina had laughed, adjusting a napkin for the 4th time. "Mom said the house was too small. Dad said the neighborhood was sketchy. I want them to see what I built." Maya squeezed her shoulder. They should be proud already. At 1:45 p.m. a text pinged from Helen, "Running late. Start without us." Nina had stared at it, uneasy. By 3:30 the doorbell finally rang. Not family, coworkers. Jake and Priya arrived with daisies and warm hugs. Mrs. Porter, Nina's 82-year-old neighbor, shuffled in with a pie and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Don't let empty chairs boss you around," she said, patting Nina's hand. "We're here." 2 college friends burst in with a bottle of sparkling juice and loud cheers. The house filled with kind voices, but Nina kept glancing at the door. At 4:15 she called Helen. Voicemail. He tried Frank. Voicemail. She texted Brian. "Where are you?" No reply. She messaged Aunt Ruth and Uncle Mark. Unread. The food cooled. The wine sat waiting. Nina's smile felt glued on. "They'll come," Maya whispered. "They always do." But the minutes stretched long and thin. The golden light outside slipped toward evening. At 5:08 Aunt Ruth finally answered. Laughter and clinking glasses roared in the background. "Nina, honey, aren't you coming to Brian's housewarming?" Ruth shouted over the noise. Nina blinked. "Brian's, what?" "Downtown. He bought an apartment. Your parents said you knew. Everyone's here." Ruth sang the words like a song. Nina swallowed. "He rents, Aunt Ruth. He didn't buy." Pause. "Well, that's not what he told us," Ruth said, softer now. "Anyway, maybe swing by later? After your little gathering?" The phrase cut like glass. "My housewarming started at 2. I sent invitations 4 weeks ago," Nina said, voice thin. Another pause, longer. "Oh dear. We're already here." The call ended. Nina lowered the phone and looked at the 24 empty chairs she had set for people who chose not to come. Maya stepped close. Mrs. Porter lifted her glass. "To the ones who showed up," the old woman said. Nina raised her glass with a steady hand. "To the ones who showed up." The guests who had come tried to lift the mood. Jake cracked jokes about his disastrous cooking skills. Priya praised Nina's garden, promising to help her plant tulips in spring. Maya kept squeezing her hand under the table whenever her smile wavered. Mrs. Porter, sharp-eyed and fearless, rose suddenly with her glass raised high. "Don't let empty chairs steal your joy, Nina," she declared. This day is yours. Claim it. The others raised their glasses too. Warmth spread through Nina's chest as she whispered, "Thank you." Her phone buzzed again on the table. Helen's name flashed across the screen. Every eye turned to Nina. She pressed the side button silencing the call, then lifted her glass higher. "Today is about the people who showed up," she said firmly. By 8 p.m. the last of the loyal guests left with hugs and promises to come back soon. The house was quiet again, but it no longer felt empty. Maya stayed behind, helping pack leftovers into containers. "You should come stay at my place tonight," she suggested gently. "We'll watch silly movies and eat pie until we pass out." Nina shook her head. "I need to be here. This is my home." The word caught in her throat, both heavy and fragile. She glanced around at the refinished wood floors, the antique light fixtures, the carefully painted walls. This home carried her fingerprints, her sacrifices, her pride. "Then at least promise me you won't let them break you," Maya said softly. Nina nodded, but the ache in her chest still pulsed. The doorbell rang, startling them both. Nina exchanged a look with Maya before wiping her hands on a dish towel. She opened the door to find Helen standing on the porch, pearl earrings catching the porch light. Helen's eyes swept over Nina's living room like a critic at an art gallery. "May I come in?" she asked, not waiting for an answer as she stepped forward. Nina's stomach tightened. Helen dropped her purse on the sofa and adjusted a pillow as though it belonged to her. "It's nice," she said at last, lips pursed. "Smaller than I imagined." Maya hovered in the doorway between kitchen and living room, her presence steady. "Mom, why are you here?" Nina asked quietly. Helen folded her arms. "Honestly, Nina, I don't understand why you're making such a fuss. You're always competing with Brian, making him feel small. He finally did something worth celebrating and you couldn't even support him." The audacity left Nina momentarily speechless. Maya gasped from the kitchen doorway. Nina found her voice. "I couldn't support him because I was here hosting the housewarming I invited you to weeks ago." Helen waved a hand dismissively. "These things happen. Brian only decided on his party last week. He was so excited." Nina's heart pounded. "A week ago? My invitations went out 4 weeks ago." Helen busied herself with the pillow again. "Brian's been having a rough patch. We thought supporting him would build his confidence." Nina's voice trembled, but her words were sharp. "So you staged a fake celebration to overshadow mine?" Helen's silence was louder than any admission. "You knew," Nina whispered, her throat tight. "You all knew." Helen straightened. "Not everything is about you, Nina. You've always been the independent one. You don't need us like Brian does." Nina's anger boiled over. "Independent? I had to be. When I made honor roll, you skipped the ceremony for Brian's average football game. When I earned my scholarship, you spent the night consoling him for failing. I worked 3 jobs to buy this house while you paid his rent after he dropped out. You never saw me." Helen's eyes narrowed. "After all we've done for you, what have you done for me?" Nina cut in. Silence. The air between them thickened. Nina's hands shook, but her voice grew stronger. "I spent $60,000 in 9 months restoring this house. Every vacation day, every weekend, every spare hour. You called it a waste. But I built this." Helen's face hardened. "You don't talk to your mother that way." Nina walked to the door and pulled it open wide. "I just did. Get out." Helen's mouth fell open, shocked. "Your father will hear about this." "I'm sure he will," Nina said evenly. She held the door until Helen stormed out, heels clattering against the porch. When the door shut, Nina sagged against it, breath trembling. Maya crossed the room and wrapped her arms around her. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. For the first time that day, Nina let herself cry freely. Morning sunlight filtered through the windows when the doorbell rang again. Nina rubbed her eyes, weary from replaying the confrontation all night. She opened the door to see her father, Frank, standing alone. His tall frame looked smaller somehow, his face uncertain. "May I come in?" he asked softly. Unlike Helen, he paused at the threshold, waiting for her nod. Nina stepped aside. He took in the details of her home with quiet awe. "Could I see it?" he asked. She led him through each room. The kitchen with its original cabinets restored, the office where she worked, the guest room painted sage green. Outside he stopped by the vegetable garden. "You did all this yourself?" Most of it, Nina admitted. Friends help sometimes. Frank's eyes softened. It's beautiful. You've created something special here. The words landed awkwardly, the first genuine compliment she could remember from him. But then he added, your mother's upset. If you just apologized, we could put this behind us. Nina's jaw tightened. I won't apologize for telling the truth. Or for expecting respect. His expression hardened. We're not getting any younger, Nina. Our estate, she cut him off. I don't need your money. I never did. A flicker of anger crossed his face, then something else. Weariness, maybe. Nina stepped closer. You gave Brian 3 business loans. The shop that closed in 6 months, the food truck he abandoned, the pyramid scheme. Did I ever have potential worth supporting? His silence was louder than words. A car pulled into the driveway. Maya stepped out with her friend Dr. Foster, a therapist Nina had met once before. Behind them, Mrs. Porter parked her old Buick, balancing a casserole dish. Frank's eyes flicked to them nervously. Your mother expects you to call and apologize, he said quickly. The family has had enough drama. Nina opened the door wider. You can't threaten me with estrangement when that's already my reality. Frank hesitated on the threshold. This isn't how family treats each other. Nina looked at him steadily. I know. That's the problem. She closed the door gently. Inside, Dr. Foster touched her shoulder. That was the first step, she said softly. Recognizing the pattern. Nina exhaled, the tension finally releasing from her chest. Days later, Nina sat in her office, phone buzzing with messages. Aunt Ruth again. When are you going to apologize? Your mother is heartbroken. She set the phone down without answering. Through the window, golden leaves fluttered from the maple tree in her yard. On her screen, Brian's social media still bragged about his new home purchase. Relatives had left dozens of comments cheering him on. Nina whispered to herself, enough. She opened her camera roll, choosing the photo Maya had taken when she first held the keys to her Craftsman. Her caption formed clear in her mind. First-time homeowner. 9 months of sweat equity. From rewiring to refinishing these 100-year-old floors myself. Thank you to everyone who truly supported me. She hit post. This time it was her truth, her story, told on her terms. The post spread quickly. Colleagues commented with pride. Old friends from college sent heart emojis. Even Mrs. Porter shared it on her page with the caption, my neighbor Nina, the hardest working woman I know. But silence came from her family. Hours later, a message popped up from her cousin Katie. Thought you should see this. Screenshots of the family group chat followed. Aunt Ruth wrote, Helen is beside herself. Nina is just jealous of Brian. Uncle Mark chimed in, she's always been difficult. Remember Thanksgiving when she ruined dinner? Nina's chest tightened. She remembered clearly. The ruin had been her announcement that she'd earned a scholarship to MIT, which no one acknowledged. Instead, the whole dinner had been about Brian's average grades. More screenshots revealed the same narrative. Nina the troublemaker. Nina the one who never tried hard enough. Nina who was always competing. She scrolled until the words blurred. It's like they live in an alternate reality, she murmured. Later that week, Nina sat in Dr. Foster's office. The scent of sandalwood filled the room. Dr. Foster leaned forward. This is textbook scapegoat golden child dynamic. Brian is positioned as the one who can do no wrong. You're cast as the one who never does enough. Nina rubbed her temples. I've suspected it for years, but seeing it written down, it's crushing. Dr. Foster asked gently, what would your life look like if you stopped seeking their approval? Nina's throat tightened. I'd be alone. Dr. Foster's eyes softened. Would you? Or would you be free? Nina went home to find her porch light glowing. Maya and 2 co-workers waited with buckets of paint. Surprise, Maya said. Guest bathroom makeover night. We brought pizza too. Laughter echoed through the house that evening as walls changed color. Mrs. Porter arrived with flowers from her garden, insisting someone should know her grandmother's tricks for growing roses. For the first time in weeks, Nina felt her house breathe with warmth instead of silence. Over the next weekends, dinners became common. Music and conversation replaced aching emptiness. Nina started to see a new truth. She wasn't alone. She was surrounded by people who chose to be there. Then came the knock one Wednesday evening. Nina opened the door to find Brian, leaning casually on the frame. Hey sis, place looks nice. She didn't invite him in right away. What do you want, Brian? He shuffled his feet then launched into his pitch. There's this real estate project. Small buy-in, huge return. I thought of you since you're into property now. Nina raised an eyebrow. How much? Just 15 grand. You'd get it back quick. She studied him. The same charm, the same expectation. You've never seen me clearly, she said quietly. And now I finally see you. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? It means no, Brian. She shut the door gently but firmly. For once he didn't hold the power. A week later, Nina agreed to Sunday dinner at her parents' house. Beforehand she met Dr. Foster. Remember, they'll try to pull you into old patterns, Dr. Foster said. What boundaries will you hold? Nina counted on her fingers. If they belittle my house, I'll leave. I won't discuss lending money to Brian. I won't stay longer than 90 minutes. Dr. Foster nodded. And your purpose? To see if honesty is possible, Nina replied. On Sunday she walked into the suburban dining room. Silence greeted her. Brian smirked weakly. Her father cleared his throat. Helen busied herself with dishes. Thank you for coming, Frank said. Nina took her seat. I'm here to see if honesty is possible. The words dropped like stones in a pond. Dinner began with strained small talk. Helen asked about Nina's job but interrupted before she could finish. Frank asked about the house but flinched when she mentioned installing her own water heater. Finally, Helen set down her fork with a sharp click. I don't understand why you bought such an expensive house. All that money wasted when you could have had something reasonable like Brian. The lie clung to the air. Nina placed her napkin down. I didn't come for more lies, she said, standing. Nina, please, Frank urged, rising too. Family should forgive each other. Nina met his eyes. Family should be worth forgiving first. She left quietly, her heels tapping against the tiles, leaving stunned silence behind her. Weeks passed. Sunday dinners with her chosen circle became tradition. Maya brought board games. Jake strummed his guitar. Priya told stories about her students. Mrs. Porter shared gardening secrets. Nina found peace in this new rhythm. Until one afternoon when her phone buzzed. Brian's social media glowed with a new post. She said yes. Engaged to Jennifer. He posed with a blonde woman showing off a diamond. Within minutes, relatives flooded the comments with congratulations. Helen called, voice bright. Have you seen Brian's wonderful news? We're planning an engagement party. Family obligations come first. This is important. Nina replied calmly, I'll think about it. Helen's voice sharpened. Think about it? After everything we've done for you? Nina ended the call, hands steady. Texts from relatives poured in. Family comes together for moments like this. Your brother would be there for you. Aunt Ruth added, Helen said you might help with wedding expenses since Brian is between opportunities again. Maya read over Nina's shoulder and snorted. Of course. Another bailout. Nina remembered Dr. Foster's advice. Selective engagement protects your peace. She typed one careful message to Brian. Congratulations. I wish you both happiness. To the others she sent short, polite replies. Maya grinned. Look at you setting boundaries like a champion. For once, Nina felt light instead of guilty. Days later, Nina's phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Is this Nina? It's Jennifer, Brian's fiancée. I hope this isn't inappropriate, but I'd like to meet you. Just us. Nina was cautious. Why? Jennifer hesitated. I've seen how your family talks about you. I need to know what I'm marrying into. Nina agreed to coffee. The next day at Riverdale Roasters, Jennifer arrived in a simple cream dress, nothing flashy. My father was like Brian, she admitted. Always charming, never responsible. My mother enabled him until she couldn't anymore. Nina asked gently, Are you sure about marrying him? Jennifer's smile was sad. No. But I need clarity. That evening, Frank appeared on Nina's porch holding a cardboard box. Found these in the attic, he said, placing it on her coffee table. Inside were photos Nina had never seen. Her at 5 holding a science ribbon, her at 16 grinning beside the used car she bought with her savings. I took these, Frank said softly. Your mother thought they were silly. Nina's throat tightened as she lifted the graduation photo with him by her side. "We failed you," he whispered. "I failed you." For the first time she heard the truth she had longed for. But it came wrapped in regret, not change. Later Helen arrived uninvited, storming in. "This distance has gone on long enough," she snapped. "You will attend Brian's engagement party and behave like family, or you won't be family at all." Nina stood tall. "That's not your choice anymore. I'll decide for myself." Helen's face reddened. "Ungrateful girl." Nina opened the door. "You can show yourself out." Helen left fuming, muttering threats. Nina leaned against the door, chest pounding, but this time not from fear. From strength. On the day of the engagement party, Nina entered the country club in a simple green dress. Relatives froze mid-conversation. Brian's smile faltered. Jennifer waved, relief plain on her face. Helen and Frank approached with forced smiles. "You came," Helen said for the crowd's benefit. "Wouldn't miss it," Nina replied lightly. Small talk filled the air, stiff and awkward. At the refreshment table Helen hissed under her breath. "Don't mention your house tonight. This is Brian's moment." Nina steadied herself. "I'm here to celebrate Jennifer," she answered calmly. Jennifer joined them, linking her arm with Nina's. "Exactly," she said warmly. Helen's smile tightened, defeated. Later Brian raised a glass. "Jennifer and I are grateful to see everyone here. It's been a big year. My new home purchase, this engagement." Jennifer's smile faltered. Relatives shifted uneasily. Nina sipped her water silently, refusing to correct him. Truth didn't need defending tonight. Jennifer's eyes searched hers, confusion dawning. After the toast, whispers rippled through the room. Jennifer pulled Brian aside, her voice sharp. Relatives pretended not to listen, but their eyes followed every word. The mask was cracking. Nina stepped onto the terrace for fresh air. Jennifer joined moments later, eyes red. "I had no idea how deep this goes," she admitted. "The lies. The apartment. Even the job promotion he bragged about. It's all false. And your parents know, don't they?" Nina nodded quietly. "They've always known." Jennifer's voice shook. "How do you survive this?" Nina looked at the stars. "By choosing truth even when it hurts." Brian stormed out then, face flushed. "You're poisoning her against me," he shouted. Jennifer squared her shoulders. "No, Brian. She's being honest." His charm slipped, revealing pure entitlement. "Everyone knows she's jealous of me." "Not anymore," Jennifer said softly. Relatives gathered near the terrace doors, their whispers a tide. Helen appeared, snapping, "Nina, don't make a scene." But Frank's voice cut through. "Let her go, Helen. We've done enough." The words hung heavy. Helen's eyes widened at his betrayal. Nina walked past them, calm, collected, head high. Relatives parted like water, some watching with confusion, others with dawning realization. Rachel waited by the car. "Ready?" she asked gently. Nina glanced back at the glowing country club windows. "Yes," she said. "I'm ready." Months passed. The dining table that once bore empty chairs now overflowed with friends and laughter. Maya brought her boyfriend. Priya shared curries from her grandmother's recipes. Jake played guitar late into the night. Mrs. Porter, though slowing down, still offered advice for Nina's garden. The house thrummed with chosen family. Frank visited sometimes, quiet but respectful. Helen stayed away. Brian's engagement collapsed when Jennifer walked away, unwilling to live in lies. Gossip reached Nina, but she no longer carried it like a wound. One evening Frank brought a lilac bush. "Your grandmother loved these," he said. Nina planted it in her yard, hands steady. "Thank you," she told him sincerely. He looked around at the house filled with warmth and murmured, "You built something beautiful here." The words were simple but honest. For once Nina believed them. She no longer needed permission to feel proud. A year after her housewarming, Nina set her table again. This time only 8 chairs surrounded it. Each one filled with laughter and love. Maya toasted with sparkling juice. Jake strummed a tune. Priya teased her about her obsession with hydrangeas. Mrs. Porter's empty chair stood at the table too, honored with flowers, a reminder of her wisdom. The house glowed, alive with voices that had chosen to be there. Nina leaned back, heartful. She remembered that first night staring at 24 empty chairs. The pain still lingered but softer now, healed by time and by truth. Dr. Foster's words echoed in her mind. Family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up, who stays, who sees you clearly. She raised her glass. To the ones who showed up, she said again, her voice strong. Laughter and cheers rang through her home. The lesson settled in her chest like peace. Sometimes you set a table for 24 but only 8 come. And those 8 become everything. Thanks you for watching, and please remember to tell us where you are watching from today. Hit the like button, comment and subscribe to this channel for more of this.